Yeah.
Hospitality plays that important role. It costs you nothing. And I always tell this in the executive leadership team, smile. That is the only free thing in this world. It does wonder. Whether it's a guest complaint, you are in a stress moment with the, revenues are not all coming in, you're having project delays, bring a smile, bring fun what you do. Let's talk about it, make it happen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, a podcast series brought to you by Directors Institute World Council of Directors, where we uncover the stories, strategies, and leadership insights of some of the most influential minds in the industry. Today, we've got a guest who's done it all: built brands, led global teams, and shaped industries across hospitality, real estate, and corporate governance. With 30 years of experience across 3 continents, he's worked with some of the biggest names: Caesars Entertainment, Hilton, Hyatt, Dubai Holding, to just name a few. But what really sets him apart is his ability to turn ideas into lasting experiences and businesses into legacies. He's a strategist, a leader, and someone who truly understands what it takes to make an impact at the highest level. I'm super excited to have Mr. Nawaz Mahmood with us today. Sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Tanay. Thank you for inviting me. Looking forward to our discussion and to share my insights and experience.
Pleasure's all ours, sir. So, to begin with, sir, looking at your incredible journey, 3 decades, multiple industries, and some of the world's most recognized brands, it's clear that this wasn't just a career. It's been a story of growth, transformation, and impact. But every great journey has its defining moments, the challenges, the turning points, the unexpected opportunities. So, if you look back, what were the moments that truly shaped your path and made you the leader you are today?
Thank you. I think you have touched it right. You know what inspired me? I always say my parents, my father and my mother, they shaped me who I am today. And I'm still living their legacy, the family I belong to. I'm carrying that legacy of the family moving forward. Fortunate in a way, born in a country in Pakistan, but I was very young, 3 years old. Parents moved to Dubai in UAE. So I did my kindergarten, my school and high school there. And then I had a love and affair with hospitality, you know. From there, always wanted to be a hotelier in hospitality. Then for my college and university, went to Australia in Perth and did my college and university. Very fortunate. My first school of education was Hyatt International at Hyatt Agency Perth. Started as we all do when we are young. We work all the odd jobs before you settle in while you're studying. So either working food and beverage, working in operations, working in rooms, started getting the flair of it. And as I said, School of Education had played that important role where I'm today, being a global international brand, public listed company, and the opportunities they provide. We call the word of Hyatt. So that's there itself, and now it's a global brand. So started from there, from a casual operations staff, becoming a part-time, working full-time. By the time I finished, I graduated, I started working there more on a permanent basis. I had great leaders who actually inspired me where I wanted to be. It's not necessarily my functional expert was like in operations, and that they made us who we are today as a hotelier. So from an operation perspective, from there I moved into L&D, learning and development from operations. And by the time I graduated, I did my 4.5 years with Hyatt Agency Perth. Very fortunate, I was awarded Trainer of the Year, which actually helped me in my career upbringing where I wanted to be. And also been nominated 3 times as Employee of the Month and being also the finalist as the Employee of the Year. So that gives you a very good recognition and a platform. And did receive my scholarship for my further studies. That helped me. And at that time in '90s, we had 7 hotels in Australia and New Zealand. That shaped me who I am today. From there, moved back to Dubai because of the parents. So that did my first year there. Went into operations of the part of hospitality, but more into catering. learned different aspects of learning from there itself, and from an L&D operations and HR. It was always my own development. The company was going into a certification of ISO. So that was a new learning for me to understand. Had the opportunity to visit the sites, which is not, permissible for everyone, like oil and gas, going onshore, offshore, setting up the standards, working from there, traveling a lot from there itself. So did that for 1 year, got promoted within the company, did the certification of that company as well in ISO certification. That actually helped me in my career development. Then Hyatt came back for another opportunity. I was awarded, being transferred to Grand Hyatt Muscat in Oman. So that actually played a very important role where I did L&D, HR, and also part of operations as well. So it became a very good understanding. And that actually helped me, if I link it back to my role in Perth, where I was just a junior employee, moved into more of a part-time, moved into more to operations, did my management training, my supervision development management training, corporate leadership. Coming to Muscat, which is a luxury property, 280 rooms, talk of the town, that actually inspired me who I am today, basically. You can see what luxury really means in hospitality and moving forward to from there, then who can ask better for? When you work hard, the Almighty bless you with that as well. I had the opportunity to be part of the pre-opening team of Grand Hyatt Dubai. At that time, first Grand Hyatt, a luxury property, was coming into Middle East with 40 acres of land, 671 rooms, 186
Wow.
apartments. So I was part of the management team of the pre-opening task force. I was given the assignment, which we call trial runs, to bring life to a building. So from training perspective to testing and trials, all the rooms, the F&B, the concepts, that really helped me. So, work, really hard to make sure it comes to it. And now the property itself has celebrated 20 plus years of its existence and still a prime property there. And furthermore, still now the property has increased number of rooms and increased number of banqueting space. So that actually has really helped. You can see if you lay the foundation properly, and during that process, it really helps you.
Yeah.
Again, I was always, a nomad, a gypsy thought process. I need to still learn more and move forward. Fortunate with the company again with Hyatt. Then they sent me all the way to Egypt. We were doing a conversion of a property from 671 rooms. I went to a property of 920 rooms, with 16 F&B outlets. At that time, I was then made director of training and also heading the whole transformation, the conversion. Ended up working there for 1 year. Was also involved in the transition and also part of Center of Excellence for the three properties at that time in Egypt. Then I took a break. I wanted to go back to Australia to do my master's. So I did my master's there, finished that job, that, did my 1.5, 2 years of master's. And then I wanted to take a break from hospitality, which actually helped me. I started working for Red Cross, which is the world's largest brand. So bit of a humanitarian perspective. I learned a lot from the other side of the business as well, from humanity and how the world largest organization, the brand itself, Red Cross, works globally, internationally, locally. We were involved in many of the events there, where I was able to add my business acumen to their way of doing business, and we were able to translate, get more funds the way we were doing business there itself. I was part of that. Then from there, moved back to hospitality after graduating from a master's. Started working for Carlson, which has a brand of Radisson. Uh, there itself. And that's where I had my first opportunity to even visit India in Delhi. Part of this process, part of my induction and orientation, worked in Dhaka as well. And then Hyatt came back to me because that was a love affair. Then I was very fortunate. Then I ended up replacing two senior positions at Grand Hyatt Dubai, one for HR, regional HR, and regional L&D. I was made, two positions into one. And that's where I started to really understand there was a transition going into a Hyatt when they were becoming from a private company to a public listed company. And the understanding of governance from a different level, from a strategic point of view. So that actually kicked in, and for me to understand where we have to really be compliant, which we were, but it started to make more sense when you have the responsibility and accountability where it comes being part of the strategy, being part of the team. And then the Hyatt was expanding itself there within the Middle East. So that was my complete 15 years, if I can say in a nutshell, what I did with Hyatt. Really, I really learned a lot. Very fortunate. Then from there, I moved to Hilton Worldwide. Uh, I was headhunted for a position at the Conrad Dubai, which was the first luxury property of Hilton coming into Middle East, owned by the current president of UAE, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. You know, it was a very different mixed use, which I have never worked before. So that was an enticing moment and an opportunity for me itself to see how we can, bring again life to a building.
Yeah.
You travel the world, were able to capitalize human capital. We opened the property with 77 different nationalities across the world with very different concepts of F&B. For the first time ever in Middle East, we had an automated car park, which was established there. Uh, Brought in the Michelin star chefs there to work with them. So you can see that was purely operational. So did all those things there. And then at the end, Beacon of the Light was very fortunate, I would say. I'm very thankful the opportunities I had to work with Meraas slash Dubai Holding because they are part of the same family. As a parent company, Dubai Holding and Meraas got merged into it. Was part of the Meraas Hospitality, set up their division for hospitality for HR, and worked closely with the development team. So that's where I had to switch my hat where I was working from operations, went into managing assets and developing assets for the owners. And that's where Meraas slash Dubai Holding was a semi-government entity where we had a lot of governance and corporate uh, mindset to really see from an investment point of view. So that actually gave me another, I would say, great learning to see how the projects were done from an investment point of view and from the development point of view. And again, it was an added on to my previous experience, and we were able to, learn and enhance it further. And bringing with Meraas and slash Dubai Holding to bring in properties like Bulgari, Nikki Beach, Caesars, Lovell, City Walk. So that's where you could see where luxury meets hospitality meets the customer service. So we have to do the whole customer service journey experience, and being part of the executive leadership team, it gives you different perspective dynamics, and you are able to translate your bespoke ideas into reality as well when you have a right team coming into it. And that's where I would say my love affair of corporate governance was raised to the next level when I was appointed by the owning Meraas Dubai Holding and from Caesars Entertainment to become a chief compliance officer for the hospitality part, where I had to see from both sides. From one is your contractual arrangements and how that Caesars being a public listed company is one way of looking at compliance. Then you have the owner's asset, which is a semi-government entity. So there was a lot of mix and match,
Right.
and that's where we started to see from there. And I did that for good 4.5, 5 years. Got a lot of gray hairs, which comes with age. I always say, age with grace. So that was there. And for the last 4.5 years, I was reaching 50. So I said, I've been working for large companies, large corporate. Let me work for myself.
Yeah.
So I became an independent consultant, working from Dubai mainly, had developers who wanted to go into mixed use development from real estate perspective, from an investment point of view for urban planning, which was also linked to tourism as well. So that actually, I think, I would say finally worked very well in my career development. And now I'm very fortunate. I'm working and blessed as well. Now I'm involved with 3 mega projects, within from Dubai to Pakistan. So that is helping me a lot. And especially with the Doctors Institute governors, what I was doing before was what I had my knowledge from my working. But by doing this course and being part of it and being part of this network actually really helped me how systematic things work and where our owners comes in not only from governor's point of view and our legal responsibility point of view as well. That's there as a world citizen.
That's quite
Making
some range of experience, sir. I mean, and shows in your skill set. Yeah, it's traveling the world across domains, across huge companies. So I'm sure it would have been an experience of a lifetime.
I must say, I had great leaders to work with
Yeah.
over the years, and because of my work, uh, I had to travel as well. So I'm very fortunate to travel to 80 plus countries, and I would say
Wow.
70% was purely work. So
Lovely.
what else you want? And that's what hospitality, I always say to people, and tourism is it's a lifestyle what you need to enjoy. It long hours, it helps you, it makes you a better person because you're working with the diverse range of people from
Yeah.
different backgrounds. You need to really understand the cultural understanding, the way of living, even to understand their language, the food, their color palettes, the way they interact. So you need to keep that in mind, and that actually translates into service industry.
Yeah.
And that's why being in hospitality or tourism, we never sleep. We are 24 hours, 7 days a week, like airports, hospitals, or we are, whatever happens, even during the COVID, we were still open because we have to look after it. Though airlines stopped for a while, but hotels, we still had guests.
Yeah.
Those apartments we had in the hotel got stuck, so we had to look after them. So you need to, again, I believe it's all the agility, being agile leader and being adaptable is the key what we do.
True. So, launching and repositioning brands is no small feat. Like, it takes vision, precision, and the ability to navigate challenges that most people don't even see coming. You've led the charge on some incredible pre opening projects, transforming ideas into thriving brands. And I can only imagine the pressure, the unpredictability, and the sheer amount of strategy that goes into making this all work. So, my question to you is there a mindset or approach that has helped you turn these ambitious projects into lasting success stories?
Absolutely. I think it all boils down to the team you work with. So that's why the human connection and the people is the key. But beforehand, I think the most important thing is the mindset, as you said rightly. Having a clear strategy. I always say the three C's. 3C stands for, communication is, you're clear about it, the clarity, what you're about to do, and the most important, which brings everything together, is the character of all the individuals will come together to do it. When we look at the brand, we are bringing life to a building where we are establishing new brands, such as we did it with Grand Hyatt, or we did it with Park Hyatt, or we did with Caesars. So there's a whole, from a marketing point of view, from a marketing perspective, which is a strategy where how we will make sure the guests who will come to stay with us or to experience with us, what we can offer different, how we can be different. They have a city like Dubai, where you have all the world brands there. Dubai city has more hotel rooms than New York. That's a statement itself. You know, Still another 15,000 inventory is coming, more ultra luxury products are coming in. So what we can do different. So that's where you have to position yourself. You work with the team. Of course, you have the owners. The pressure is itself because there's a huge investment being put in there. Other thing which work clockwise in Dubai is, I think, I'm proud to say, I call it a home as well. The infrastructure of the government is great. The safety security provide is great. The amenities is provide and ease of doing business. So you have the best of the best talent to choose from, and you are able to bring and translate the vision of the leadership of the country itself. And that's where the country has really, the city and the country has developed over the years. What they offer, safety and security. If you look at the tourists, if you look at doing the business, if you're looking at your career development, if you're in a room full of talented people, you're bound to learn. It's your mindset. It's your ingenuity. I call it the intuitiveness, how you want to do it. So that's where when we talk about excellence and we talk about customer service, and you can offer, we can have the best of the best ceramics, we can best of the best linen, we can have the best of everything when it comes to FFNE. But what really sets apart is the service and the people. The same way, our culture, I'm sure you will agree with me, if it's like someone coming to your home as a guest. And that what actually translates into everything. But to answer your specific question with brand positioning and the pressure, what we have, of course, is humongous here. At times we have done mistakes, but we have to overcome this. We are running against time. We have to adjust our strategy. Are we too early into the market? Are we doing the right thing? Did we miss out something? So you have all those questions. But once, as a leadership team, we have agreed on the ballpark figures, on the ballpark milestones, what we want to do, it comes naturally then. Then we all work together naturally to work on the teams. I remember at certain occasions where our pre-opening date has been shifted for certain reasons. It can be engineering, it can be, we were not able to get the equipment on time, our licensing permits were not done on time. There are so many, but that's where the leadership team, us, we all come in together, says what if we can do. And that thought process is always there before as well in our critical path. So we always look at our plan A, B, C, and D even, and also at each decision what we do, because there's an impact for certain things, for everything, there is always a reaction to an action. So we always look at what if scenario, what if situation. So we are mindful of making that happen. And I think it's all about the personality. I always wanted to, for me, I always look at any opportunity where maybe I don't say it, I've failed, I said I've learned something. So my mindset is there. Maybe I've not succeeded the way I wanted to be, but I'm sure I will get some opportunity later on. It's the mindset. And I think that's where being, for the last 4 years, I'm also being part of executive non-executive board member for a company. And my 60% role of the advisory role, which I'm doing, is purely educating the process thinking behind it. If we are taking risk, how we are taking it. Laying down to the team around making sure that we are on the right track, we are being ethical. I think the most important thing is being ethical, what we do, integrity, and what we have promised, what we have asked for, we are able to deliver it. And I think that is the key. And if you look at any brands around the world, whether it is Google, Meta, Adidas, they all have taglines, it's, you know, just do it, for example, Nike, very simple, straightforward. If you look at Mercedes, and that's what I say in hospitality is all about lifestyle. What it is, value for money, deliver it, celebrate that moments of truth. Those moments of truths where the reality comes in. You are able to connect, you are able to deliver, and you're able to bring that smile. That is called value for money. And I think it becomes naturally from the part of the world we are from,
Yeah.
hospitality plays that important role. It costs you nothing. And I always tell this in the executive leadership team, smile. That is the only free thing in this world. It does wonder. Whether it's a guest complaint, you are in a stress moment with the, revenues are not falling coming in, you're having project delays, bring a smile, bring fun what you do. Let's talk about it, make it happen. This is the key.
Yeah, because a good smile, I think, reflects the right attitude as well to the other person, that this person is there for me. And that's the crux of where it starts from, right? And then you solve the problem and then you go on to other things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, you had the unique experience of working with blue chip corporations and large diversified portfolio organizations, two worlds that operate very differently. I can imagine that navigating their cultures, expectations, and ways of doing business must have been both challenging and eye opening. So, from structured precision of global corporations to the dynamic multi industry approach of diversified groups, how did you adapt your leadership style to thrive in both?
I think it's a very good question. And I always say this to, colleagues around and the people I talk to and communicate. The basics does not change of discipline. The structures are in place, or the policy and procedures, or the SOPs are in place for a reason. There's a thought process why certain things have to be done. Again, for each brand or each blue chip companies, there's a strategy behind it, the way they look at things. They are global leaders, they are global companies. They have done this way. And then you navigate through those process. And I think what hospitality has always taught me is adaptability part of it as well, where we were from day one, we were told you are a global citizen because you're part of the global company, act locally. So there's a lot of things comes in together. We need to understand when it comes to community engagement. I remember when I was in Morocco, when I was in Egypt, or when I was in Kenya or South Africa, or if I was in Macau, we have to act locally, but with a global mindset. So you have to bring that together. There's no rigid way of doing things. I think it's all to do with agility and being adaptability is the key, which comes in there. And I think it's a lot to do with your adjustments. At times I remember it took me some times in certain locations where I believed I was doing the right thing, but then I started to understand my team is not with me at the same pace because of communication barrier, mindset, the way they were thinking, I was thinking too fast. Uh, Maybe I was too rigid in my one way of thinking. So I had to adapt and adjust all those things there itself. So there is always that hook and pull story, where you need to shift your gaze accordingly. But when you're opening a hotel or you're opening a milestone, you're always working those targeted dates.
Yeah.
So that's where you have to bring the whole clan, the community of people together. I'll give you an example. At the Caesars, when we were opening, we were given 5 months to open. I had to travel the world to hire, key talents, and then to bring them to Dubai who have never been to Dubai before, educate them on the city, educate them on the country, the laws. Then you are also parents to them because you are looking after the accommodation, life insurance, food, everything. So basically, you're also telling them about the brand standards, how things have to be done. So there's a lot of back and forth of you putting. You basically become their parent, and I think that's where I said you have endless you have unconditional love. You can't just fire them or you can't just terminate them, or you can't just cease. You have to give them the opportunity to adjust, to adapt. Maybe certain people who come in for the first time to a different country, you know, maybe they're not used to this heat of the wild, the air, the food, they're missing their family. So you have to create the whole environment of together. And if I was specifically working in, for example, in India or Pakistan or Bangladesh, where you have 99% locals, they come from the same locality, so it's very different. So that's where the global mindset with the local community engagement comes in itself.
Yeah, true. Dubai would be it is a cosmopolitan, right, sir,
It
with
is, yeah.
people
We
from all
have
over the globe.
approximately 210 different nationalities living there. It's a
Amazing.
global stage, I say
Yeah.
it.
So, one thing that truly stands out about your approach is your emphasis on creating lifestyle experiences, not just services, but moments that leave a lasting impact. So,
Yes.
from hospitality to corporate branding, businesses are constantly looking for ways to engage people on a deeper level. So, how do you see this idea of lifestyle experiences shaping the way companies interact with their customers?
I think it's the mindset is to understand your client. If you can really understand your client, either it's an investment or it's a project or it's basically to understand the ins and out of your, client, what they like, what they don't like, what are the trigger points, really understand the need to want. You have to match that as well. I think if you do that, then you're able to connect. One thing we do, if you look at any leader, which I have learned, I individually, for me, every person is different. I go at their level for their understanding and make them understand what it is. Yes, at the corporate level, we have our corporate strategy, we have our visions, and the way we do things. So if you start to understand how things needs to be done, when you're creating lifestyle, it doesn't come overnight. It is the years of experience. If I take a project, for example, to build a mixed-use development, from the idea of thinking, perspective, banks, the structure, the construction, by the time the first guest walks in, can be 5 to 8 years. But the ideas was conceived long before. By the time you got involved in the feasibility, you look at the architectural design, you look at the whole thing, the structure, the way which brand will come in, how it would be. Then you have your different 100 challenges from your construction to developer, different consultants. By the time the operator comes in, that transition, it happens for the investment point of view. The person or the company who has invested, the owner, he's looking only after 7, 8 years when I'm going to start getting my ROI. And then the pressure is there as an operator that, we need to make sure we return that ROI as well. So that's where, patience is the key, I always say, and we work, I had great owners who I've worked with and who've been part of it. They understand that because they know the, the, the terminal value evaluation, the day we open our keys for the guest, if I've spent $100, the day get my first guest, the value has increased 4 times. So my market value has increased over the years. Though my ROI return would be limited at the start, but by the time we go the flow, it becomes a brand. And that's where the money becomes a brand everyone who likes to be involved with, it's a simple thing for any human. You like to be all connected with the brand. We like to be connected with the rich and famous. It's a given thing. But the most important thing is that how we do it better in a humble way. And that's what I've learned being part of Red Cross, the world's largest NGO, how humble they are, the way things are doing, though it's striving. Same way, if I look at all the blue chip companies, they're all good. Either you take Hyatt International, you take Marriott, you take Hilton, you take Accor. They are global presence, you know, on each and every continent, and they're continually doing it. What they do right is the governance, the structure, the systems in place. That's what I always say. The basic remains there. You have to adapt to it. You have to enhance it. You have to make it better. Because the ultimate goal is for us is the owners, who has invested that money. We are part of the public listed company. Our shares up and going down, being ethical. If God forbid, if something happens, if a wrong statement comes out, or if one of our leader has done unethical, what will happen in the share market? A bad image. To build a reputation, it takes years. But if God forbid, if something happens, it goes down with the flick. And that's where everything goes down. And that's where I said what I have learned with this course with the Writers Institute is the whole formulation, the systematic way of doing things, the strategy behind it, and the CSR and being ethical about it, and to make sure that you are in a position, part of the board member, you're able to guide them, you're able to state your reasons behind it, being thoughtful of as well, but remain ethical, because this is the key. What is the missing link? I see it. If you see, God forbid, if there's a forgery, if there's a bankruptcy, if you take any of the major examples around the world where business goes bust because ethically they went wrong, that happens. Or there can be a strategy where they have not calculated the way the business should be, such as a startup or something. But most of the large businesses where they go downfall is because of the leadership, because they were not doing ethically right. So that's where integrity and ethics plays such an important role. And that's where the discipline comes in. Regardless someone is watching you or not, do the right thing.
Excellent line to end that answer. So, looking at your journey so far, it's clear that you've built an incredible legacy across industries, leadership roles, and global markets. But as someone who thrives on innovation and transformation, I imagine your vision for the future is just as ambitious. So, are there any new challenges you're eager to take on, industries you want to explore, or aspirations for leadership at the boardroom level that you see shaping the next phase of your journey?
Absolutely. Basically, recently it's been I would say this is exactly 1 week. I've just taken up a new assignment, and I can't say it publicly because it has to be announced. And this is a project which I have put my hand up. I was working on this project for last 2.5 years from the investment point of view, the funding point of view, but now I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I've just joined the company as the chief operating officer for this new project, which is coming to a city where there has been not a new hotel for the last 45 years. So I have to change that culture mindset, adaptability, bringing in a new brand to that city. Uh, so I'm very much looking forward to, and also working with the architects, the development team, the construction team. And I'm sure for the next 2.5, 3 years, my plates are full. There'll be long hours, endless. I'm going to keep my calm and composure, will add value of my 33 years of experience to this project, and I'm sure we'll get there. I'm optimistic. I've got great partners, the owners, who have entrusted me with this responsibility, given me a direction, the way they want to look at it. We have that understanding, and it's good to have that great owner
Yeah.
who's investing that 130 million plus dollars, you know, and who's giving you, okay, this is, you can do it. And then you have to then, the strategy is one thing, but to fulfill that daydream into reality, this is where I come in, bringing that life to the whole thing. So I'm looking forward to this exciting new project. But I can't say it now at this stage because we have not announced it yet.
Yeah. Lovely, sir. So, corporate governance and compliance are the backbone of any sustainable business. Yet, we often see them treated as checkboxes rather than strategic priorities. From your perspective, how can leaders move beyond just meeting regulations and instead make governance and compliance a natural, value driven part of the business framework?
I think it all comes down to the leadership qualities. I always see that. The reason I say it, and I'm firm and I'm clear on that, do the right thing always. When it comes to being ethical, reporting, governance, uh, if you're gonna push aside things or under the carpet, it's gonna evolve. What goes around comes around. If you put your hand up, you have done a mistake. As a leadership team, you can always address it, do it rightly. If you start to sweep it under the carpet, start to hide things, or not doing the right thing when it comes to RFP or procurement or from an integrity point of view, so then becomes a challenge. And again, remember, we are dealing with humans. Wherever there is a human, there will be a corruption. I believe that. It's my statement because we are not among prophets. Simple. Because, so wherever there's a human, there's also always a possibility of being a devil's mind. A devil's mind is a devil's advocate. Let's do it together, let's do it together. So I remember one of my leader, and I always quote him, Mr. Joseph Kral. He gave me an advice in 1996. He said, Nawaz, if you want to be a successful leader, remember one thing. You should know 1,000 ways how to steal money, because then you know how things are done the wrong way. So that actually helped me to really understand what can go wrong in a business, either from a procurement point of view, from a sales and marketing point of view, or entertainment point of view, or getting gifts, how it is. And being part of the blue chip companies, we all had our gift policy. We all had our things to do and everything. And still, I had issues where I had to ask people to leave because they did not fill up the form, or they have taken someone's, for their own benefit. You
Yeah.
have recently seen even in the newspapers, some ministers or some, they have taken upgrade on the business class when they know they have to declare it. How hard it is to declare it. So it all boils down to your way of living. We always say to our children or in our community, do the right thing, but in practical, we live in shadows. So so that's where I say they should not be gray part of it when it comes to being ethical, having the governance thing right as well, and also having, one has to stand tall if they have done a mistake. We all do mistakes, and this is what I have learned from my mentors and coaches. If you have done something wrong, have one-to-one conversation with your boss, clear it out, rather sleeping over it. The more you sleep over it, there'll be more problems.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And the smaller problems that you hide, the smaller compliances you don't take care of, will eventually just pile up and lead to something that's then irreparable at times.
Absolutely. Absolutely. it goes into relationship. It goes into anything what we do.
True. So, as someone who has joined Directors Institute, you bring a very fresh perspective on what it means to be a part of this network. So, given your vast experience in leadership and governance, what drew you to the institute, and how do you see it adding value to your journey as you step into this new chapter?
Let me go back to your second part, adding value. It actually really, I was talking to within my fraternity, my network. I said, by doing this course, actually, it has made me to understand much better. I had the knowledge of it. I was doing it by default when I was working for a blue chip companies at different levels of leadership role. Being a doctor, or being at the executive leadership team, or being a department head. But by doing this course, it gave me this framework and the structure, how things were, how it came into this existence, from corporate governance. And again, if I look at it, as humans, I always connect that. As humans, we've been always been reactive. All these policies, procedures, institutes, or the bodies of, all the cases, because there has been always a reactive action to it. So this is what it is. While doing this course, for me it was also the aha moments. Oh, I remember in that opportunity I came across this issue. On that opportunity I came. So it was also the aha moment, self-learning, self-development. Actually, it made me a better person in terms of understanding the process thinking which goes behind it itself, on putting this perspective, getting my global understanding, because though most of my career I worked with the American blue chip companies, so having the European Union, the ASEAN countries, the BRIC countries, the Governors Council of Middle East from UAE, from Saudi, Asia as well. So it gives me that global understanding. So it made me a better person to understand, though 60-70% is almost the same, how things have evolved. Then another 20%, maybe the terminologies are seen different in different parts of the world, but it gave me that understanding. How I got drawn into it, because again, by default, 4 years ago, part of my career development and my way of, my progression in my career, I was being asked to be part of the board as a non-executive board member. It actually triggered me. Okay, I'm part of it, but what I'm saying in the boardrooms, how things are done, am I doing it right? So that led me to do my own research and understanding which are the global institutes across the world, how it has happened. So that's how, through social media, through some web searching, through asking people, then I came across the Doctors Institute, and that's how I started doing it. So this is how I've linked it.
So, just like that, we've wrapped up an absolutely power-packed conversation. This has been nothing short of a masterclass in leadership strategy and the art of creating lasting impact. Your journey from building global brands to shaping boardroom decisions is a proof that success isn't what you achieve, but how you adapt, inspire, leave a legacy, and just take care of basics, I guess. So, to our listeners, if today's conversation didn't leave you fired up about leadership and growth, I don't know what will, because it's been an absolute pleasure for us to have you on FaceTime with Leaders, sir. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your ambition, and pointing out that how basics matter more than anything else. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. I always say at the start, if something goes wrong, put a first aid. If you don't do it, it's going to be a bomb blast. Get it right. Get it right. Thank you very much
Lovely.
once again. It's been a pleasure, and looking forward to contribute further to the fraternity and for the new generation to come, to educate.
Likewise, sir. And to our listeners, hope you had a great time hearing us today. Until next time, hope you have fun, enjoy your journey, and keep striving for success. Thank you so much.